What's going on, everybody? This is the Daily Fantasy Show brought to you by DFO. It is Saturday, December 16th. I am Josh. Sorry I'm a little late today, but better late than never. So, what we got going on here? We got 9 games tonight, so let's do it. First game of the night, we have Winnipeg Jets traveling to St. Louis to face the Blues. It's going to be Carter Hutton against Steve Mason. There's still some uncertainty running around the Blues lines. I know the Blues ended the game Schenn, Steen, and Tarasenko last game, and their beats reported that it could be that way, but they won't know until warm-ups, so we're kind of in a holding pattern. It is the first game of the night, though, which is good, so... I want some Blues exposure, I think, especially Tarasenko. Even if you don't know where he's going to be, going up against Steve Mason, going against the Winnipeg penalty kill. Going against the Winnipeg penalty kill that isn't very good. I want some Tarasenko here. I also want Vince Dunn if he can't fake Colton Parayko for a power play. Pietrangelo still out. So, I know Joe Bouwmeester's back, but I don't think he gets any power play time. So, if it is Schenn, Steen, Tarasenko, I'd probably be more inclined to use that line as opposed to it being Stastny, Sobotka, Tarasenko, and Schenn, Steen, and Jaskin. So, if Tarasenko is with Schenn, I'm going to use that whole line. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I know some of the beats said, wait until warm-ups. It could change, but as it's constituted now, Jaskin is on the second line, so we'll see. We'll wait and see. On the Winnipeg side, it is Carter Hutton in net, so, I don't mind the top line. I think there's better spots tonight than that, but it is game of the backup, so I think you can go Scheifele, Connor, Wheeler. I don't mind that at all. But, even though on paper it's probably one of the better plays, I'm probably going to fade Winnipeg tonight. I think if I'm going to spend, 19, 20, 21,000 in salary, I'll probably go somewhere else. It might be, this is, I'm higher on Steve Mason than most people, but I could see this being a high-scoring game, yeah. And I do want Tarasenko in this game for sure. Both the goalies I probably would avoid. If I had to choose a goalie, it'd be Hutton, but both would be, lower GPP plays for me. So let's move on to the second game of the night. We have the LA Kings traveling to the island to face the Islanders. It's going to be Thomas Greiss. I would assume it's going to be Darcy Kemper tonight. The Kings lost to the Rangers last night, and it was quick, so it's probably going to be Kemper. I don't know about this game. I'm not a huge fan of this game. One, because LA's on the back-to-back. On a larger slates, I don't really like targeting teams on back-to-backs. Secondly, the Islanders have been getting absolutely wrecked, although the top line has been extremely productive, and they are home, so, you can go to the Islanders' top line. Yeah, they didn't, yeah, that's true. But it still is a back-to-back. I don't really worry about travel. They're professional athletes. It more worries me that they're playing a second game the second night as opposed to getting on a plane and sitting for 3 hours. So I don't really put much weight into that unless they're traveling from Seattle to Miami. Then it might be an issue. But yeah, I could see the Islanders top line being in play for sure tonight. If you want to go back to the Kings, if you're a believer that they're rested because they didn't travel, I think the top line's in play as well. I like the second line, but I don't like how they don't get much ice time. They are cheap though. They do provide nice salary relief. You know, Kempe to Foley Pearson. They'll let you fit in really whoever you want, except for maybe Tampa 1 because they're over 22,000. Yeah, they did. Hank played pretty well. You know, the game was a little bit closer than the score. So in net, I don't really trust Islanders goalies. I do like them a little bit more at home. You know, Grice is 7,300. The Kings are on a back-to-back. I think you can make a case for a GPP, but you know, using Islander netminders isn't one of my favorite DFS practices in the world. On the flip side, Kemper at 7,600, probably the same deal. The Islanders' top line is dangerous. The Islanders have been getting beat up pretty good, though, so maybe the Kings come out and win this game. But at 7,600, I think there are better options in net tonight. So let's move on to the third game of the night. We have the Dallas Stars traveling to Philadelphia to face the Flyers. It's going to be Brian Elliott against Ben Bishop. Kari Lehtinen got, he got beat pretty good by the Devils yesterday. It's another short travel for the Stars, but they are on a back-to-back on the road. I think, this is a good spot for the Philadelphia top line. They're only 17,800, which is fairly cheap for a top line. Without Palmieri and Hall, too, yeah. I mean, the goal scoring in that game was pretty brutal, but Dallas looked pretty bad, and if you want to, parlay off that, I think, the top line of the Flyers, Couturier, Giroux, and Simmons are in a really good spot. They did absolutely nothing last game, the Flyers top line. They combined for 1.0 DraftKings points, so they were pretty chalky too. So they probably burned a bunch of people as well. So they could be a little bit lower owned tonight for sure. I'm not really all about much depth lines tonight. There's a couple in particular that I like, but, Philly 2, I'm not overly thrilled about, stuff like that. You want to use Voracek. I can get behind that, a Voracek, Provorov mini or Voracek Ghost mini, to get exposure to the top power play. I think you can do. Other than that, it's really the top line of the Flyers for me or bust. On the flip side of this game for Dallas, I'm not overly thrilled with the Dallas lines. It is what it is. I mean, this is a back-to-back on the road. Granted, they didn't travel far again, but, I don't like targeting teams in that scenario. If I was going to use Dallas, I'd probably go, if you're going to use a line, I'd probably go to the second line, Janmark, Spezza and Radulov. I think as a line, they're the most well-constituted. If you want to use, a Sega and Ben Klingberg for power play, I think, I don't know how unique that's going to be, but I think it's definitely in play if you want to use the Stars. If you can't fit Klingberg, I don't mind Esa Lindell. He is up to 4,000. If Julius Honka is in, I think you can go there as well. In net, Brian Elliott's interesting to me. I used him on Thursday. He is only 7,600, which is a little bit cheaper than the other night. I think he's in play in GPPs. I wouldn't go there in cash because it is a Flyers goalie, and that's another practice that I don't like using. Ben Bishop is rested. Kari Lehtinen went the last 3 games. He is 7,400. This is a tough spot for him. I do like the Philadelphia top line, but if Philadelphia comes out flat again, this could be a nice spot for Bishop, who's fairly cheap, to get 30 shots and a win. So I'm not going to cross off Ben Bishop off my goalie list, but he's more of just a GPP play for me at 7,400. So let's move on to the next game of the night. We have The Columbus Blue Jackets traveling to Carolina to face the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes are on a back-to-back. Did they win? Yeah, they won. They won in overtime, even though Eichel went bonkers. It's going to be Darling, probably against Bobrovsky. I'm not really high in this game at all. You want to use the Columbus top line? I think that would be the place to go. The top two lines of Columbus definitely in play in GPPs. I know I don't like targeting Tampa Bay, but you saw what Buffalo did to them, and they've been terrible. They are on a back-to-back. I know they're at home now. So, yeah, I think, both of the top six lines are, Columbus 1, Columbus 2 are in play. Carolina, they mixed up their lines yesterday. Not huge on them tonight. I think, if you're going to go there, I think the Skinner line would be the way to go. But for me, Bob has struggled the past few games. I think this is a nice bounce back spot for him. He is 8,200, but, Carolina generates that shot volume, and maybe this is a lower scoring game for me. Darling at 7,200 is okay. I don't really like using teams on the back-to-back. If you're using Columbus, I think both Werenski and Jones are in play. You either pick one and take a stand, or you use both. I like using both when using Columbus. If you can, you are going to have to use a third team elsewhere, but, that's more of a FanDuel thing, playing both Werenski and Jones. You only have to have two teams. But if push comes to shove, I'd use Werenski over Jones. So let's move on to the next game of the night. Is the outdoor game. It is Montreal Canadiens traveling to Ottawa to face the Senators. Personally, I don't like targeting games that are outside. You never know how the ice conditions are going to be. They could be really choppy. Yesterday, I know when they had the alumni game, it was snowing, so who knows about the weather. They're generally low scoring. The ice is usually pretty poor. This is at night, so I don't know how the ice is going to react. Usually it's during the day, and they have issues with the sun, but now, I don't know. For me, I want to fade this game altogether. I never know how, outside is going to affect things. If it burns me, it burns me, but so be it. The Senators have been awful recently. I think you can use Price, yeah. Ottawa's been bad. I think you can use Carey Price and cash. It does worry me that it's outside. That being said, I think you can use Carey Price tonight. The Stars tend to shine in outdoor games. You want to use Ottawa, okay. I mean, I just don't like using outside game. If you're not using Price, Duchesne, Bobby Ryan, and Mark Stone is a decent line. But again, I don't like using the Senators recently. There's a lot of, bad stuff going around the organization. The owner is coming out with these crazy comments. The GM is just doing weird stuff. They've been poor since, trading Turris. So you want to have some Pacioretty exposure for Montreal, okay. But all in all, I'm probably going to fade this game. I think, Carey Price is in play in all formats. This would be a goalie game for me. You want to use Craig Anderson? Okay. I mean, I'm probably going to look elsewhere. Just the uncertainty of outdoor games for me is enough for me to fade it. If it burns me, so be it. I'd rather, stick to my guns. So let's move on to the next game of the night. We have the Anaheim Ducks traveling to Washington to face the Capitals. It's going to be Braden Holtby against more than likely Gibson, but we'll have to wait and see there. Excuse me. I think regardless of who's in net for Washington, for Anaheim, I really like the top line of Washington tonight. Tom Wilson aside. If you want to use Tom Wilson, okay. Sorry, I'm trying to like multitask here. If you want to use Tom Wilson, okay. He is only 4,000. He's not really going to, hamper your lineup too much. Lower the volume on this. I really like the Backstrom-Ovechkin combo tonight. I think that's in play for sure. GPPs mostly. I don't really like using them in cash anymore. You want to use the second line? Okay. I mean, I'm not excited about it. I think you can use Kuznetsov for the power play exposure. Oshie's still out, so yeah, Brett Connolly I like if you're trying to fit in like a Tampa. I think you can use Brett Connolly with the power play exposure. I like Matty Niskanen as well. John Carlson if you can fit him. Orlov if you need a punt. On the Ducks side, I don't really like using the Ducks so much, especially on the road. But, the second line is cheap. They do provide nice salary relief, and this is a decent spot for them. Henrique, Cogliano, and Raquel. I think they're going to get a depth line of the Capitals, and I think you can go there. If you need the salary relief, I think they're one of my favorite, not my favorite. They're up there for, value purposes. Montour is pretty cheap at 3,800. Cam Fowler, 4,100. I think Cam Fowler would be the defenseman of choice for me. Lindholm is still out. Manson at 3,000 if you want block shots, but Cam Fowler would be the one of choice for me. In net, I do really like the goalies in this game, despite really liking Washington. I'm a big John Gibson guy. I think you can go there in GPPs if you're spending down. If it is Gibson, if it's Ryan Miller, I'd probably be more apt to fade in that spot. Holtby at 8,000 is really interesting, especially if you're not using the Ducks. I think this is a good spot for him as well. I think you can use him in cash. I think you can use him in GPPs. Holtby's up there in terms of goalie plays for me. I'd probably use Holtby over Bob if you're spending over 8,000. So that's that. Let's move on to the next game of the night. I think we're getting to some chalky games here. We have the Pittsburgh Penguins traveling to Arizona to face the Coyotes. It's going to be, I don't think the goalies are confirmed yet, but I would assume it's going to be Matt Murray against Antti Ranta. So I think in terms of chalk, I think you're going to see a lot of ownership on Pittsburgh too tonight. Malkin, Kessel, Hornquist, and I think they are an elite line tonight. They're an elite play. I would think it's Gibson. So Pittsburgh's going to be chalky. You know my feelings on Pittsburgh. I'm fading them. But, I wouldn't recommend fading them. They're a very good line. This is a very good spot. Although, I will say, I know Tampa, put a beating on them pretty good. They put 52 shots on net in Arizona. But, I don't really like to overlook Arizona at home. They're better than the record says they are. That being said, I think this game is pretty open. I think this could be a high-scoring game. But I just don't like overlooking Arizona. They're not as bad as their shitty record says they are. You want to use Crosby, okay. I think that line is in play as well. But for me, it would definitely be the Malkin line. Letang, if you can fit him, obviously. Ole Mata's not bad at 4,100. Ian Cole or Duelman, if you need a punt, I think are in play as well. They're both really cheap. Okay, so on the Arizona side, I'm always pretty bullish about Arizona at home. And I do like them, not as like a top line, but they're so cheap and they let you do whatever you want. The second line is like 10,000 to full stack, maybe even under 10,000. I do like the top line. I think, Clayton Keller, 4,400. He scored last game. I think you can go back to him. Derek Stepan is 4,200. I think you can go back there as well. This is Pittsburgh. I mean, they aren't very good defensively. Just because they score a lot of goals doesn't mean they're very good defensively. So I think there is some merit to using some of Arizona tonight if you need to fit in people. They're not a top play by any means, but, you know, a Derek Stepan, Clayton Keller, like OEL, power play exposure there. Nice. My dude just got a knockout. If you want some power play exposure there, you're spending, you know, under 13,000. I think, you know, Arizona's in play for depth purposes as well. You know, if you're trying to fit into Tampa, you're trying to fit into St. Louis, you're trying to fit in Philly, you're trying to fit in a Winnipeg, I think you can get bits and pieces. Or you can even go a full line and just load up on, you know, Tampa and your defense. I think that is in play as well. Ronta at 6,900 is scary. But if he does see shot volume like he did against Tampa Bay, even in a loss, he had 5 points last game. So there is some merit to using him if you need to go down below 7,000. I am considering it. I don't know if he's going to get the win. I don't. But you're going to assume he's going to see 40 shots. You know, if he sees 40 and gives up 3 goals, 4.4 points for that price, I think you can handle that. If he wins, it's just gravy. It's just gravy. But, you know, it is a risky proposition. He could get lit up. You never know. But at the price, I am considering it in GPPs. OEL is super cheap, 4,400. Chikrin at 3,300 is in play as well. Goligoski and Demers also around that price. You know, Tobias Reeder is 3,100. Perlini is 3,200. There's so many cheap ways to go about Arizona tonight, just to fit in some big boys if you really want. I think that is my team to go to for depth purposes, and they're probably going to be, you know, they're probably going to have some ownership on it, but that's okay. Let's move on to the second to last game of the night. We have Tampa Bay traveling to Colorado to face the Avs. It's going to be Peter Budaj against Jonathan Bernier. This could be a high-scoring one. I know I've talked up Colorado's top line about being able to limit high-danger scoring chances, and that is true, but not on the power play, or not on the penalty kill. And Tampa Bay has the top-ranked power play. In the NHL, the top line is on the power play. Together, I think, you know, I don't know if you can ride or die with 8,300 Budaj. I don't know if you saw my comment about playing Budaj yesterday. It was a joke. I don't know. For me, I said it to Corsi. I said, you know, 8,300 Budaj, easy game. I'm just going with the people I don't really like. You know, I think Tampa Bay won from you throw out salary, you throw out ownership. They're probably the top play of the night, as they usually are. They are 22,300 to full stack. Someone just left a really funny comment on one of my pictures I just posted. Sorry. You know, if Tampa Bay may go overlooked because of their price tonight with people trying to fit into mid-range lines, and, you know, if they are going to be, you know, I think Tampa Bay 2 is in a really good spot as well. I think more people are going to gravitate to that second line because they're 6,000 cheaper. You know, Point, Palat, and Brain is leaving me here. Tyler Johnson. You know, I think they're in a very good spot as well. They're going to get, you know, the Kerfoot, or not the Kerfoot line, the JT Compher line, which is, you know, horrifying. So, you know, I think people are definitely going to gravitate to Tampa 2. I think they may be higher on the Tampa 1. That might be a hot take, but I'm not sure. I think both lines in Tampa, the ones face the ones, yes. So, no matter who Colorado 2 is out in the ice against, it won't be the top line. So I think, you know, both top lines are in play for Tampa for sure. I think because of salary, I think Tampa 2 is going to be more popular than the ones. If you can fit the ones, I think you should do it. I wouldn't force them in. You know, you can fit 2 mid-range top lines in there. But if you are going to tell me I'm going to get Tampa 1 at under 10%, I'm going to do it. They're the best line in the NHL, and if you're going to get them at that ownership, I'm going to do it. But if you don't, if you don't want to force them in, I think Tampa 2 is in a really good spot, and also Colorado 1's in a really good spot. For as good as the Stamkos line is offensively, they aren't the best defensively. I mean, Tampa's a good team, but it is Budaj and it's not Vasi. That's a huge downgrade, in my opinion. I think there is merit to using the top line. They're only 16,000, of backup skill. Someone might cremate me for saying goalie skill doesn't matter in DFS, but I think it does. That's what DK disagrees. There isn't a discount for backups, but in terms of skill droppage from starter to backup, I think one of the highest in the NHL is going from Vasi to Budaj. So I think Colorado 1's definitely in play. Eric Johnson would be my preferred defenseman of choice. Tyson Berry's had a rough couple games, but I think he can go back there as well. That's really the 2 defensemen that I want from from Colorado. On Tampa, it depends who you're using. I mean, Hedman correlates better with the top line. Sergachev correlates better with the second line. I don't mind either. If I need the salary, I do prefer Sergachev if you can't fit Hedman. Goalies in this game I'm not spending $8,300 on Budaj. I'm just not doing it. I can't. It's like $8,400 Martin Jones. No, they shouldn't be that pricey. And then, you got Bernier at 7,000. That's most likely going to be a fade for me. He is going to see 45, 50 shots though. So if you want to get funky, I don't know if I'm going to do it. I'm not going to completely rule it out. Bernier in a GPP would be horrifying. You have to fasten your seatbelt, and you're going on a roller coaster. And I'm not recommending it by any means, but he could face 50 shots tonight. I do like Pacioretty in cash, yeah. I mean, that game isn't a huge target of mine, but in cash, I think you can use Pacioretty. So let's move on to the last game of the night. We have the Nashville Predators traveling to Calgary to face the Flames. It's going to be Pekka Rinne against Don Miguel Smith. I don't know. I've been wrong about Nashville for the past week. So let's see here. Obviously, Gaudreau at home is always in play. But I do like Rinne in the spot. Yeah, he did. No, not Pekka. UC Saros. And I said it. I'm a huge Saros guy. He's short, but if his positioning is good, he crushes. If his positioning is off, he's going to get lit up like a Christmas tree. And his positioning was good. Brock just says Skinner, Rask, Teravainen is expected to be their top line tonight. So maybe that mixes up things for Carolina. Maybe it doesn't. But that's what Brock just said to me. So Nashville, Calgary, I think, that I don't like using Nashville on the road. That being said, they didn't have Turris when I was saying this most of the time. Turris, Fiala, Craig Smith, I think that's in play. I don't know how to be single online. I'm single right now. I don't know how to do it. Teach me, Sarah. That being said, I think, am I going to stick to my guns, or am I going to watch, the Turris line burn me again? I think there is merit to using the Turris line tonight. I'm not going there personally, but I'm not going to tell you to fade it because they have been very good on the road recently, and it has burned me. They are very cheap on both sites. I think you can go there. Calgary 1 is definitely in play for me. I think a little sneaky. I don't know if it's sneaky, but, Calgary 2 is waking up a little bit. They're still very cheap. I think you can go there as well. I do like Pekka Rinne tonight. He is 8,100, which is a little pricey on DraftKings, but I think you can do it in GPPs. I wouldn't use it in cash. Yeah, I think Johansson line is in play as well. I'm more on using offense from this game than goalies, but I think there is merit to using both goalies. Pekka is 8,100, but the Predators have been a different team since Turris has come over. They've been incredible. Mike Smith is cheap. I think you can use him as well in GPPs at 7,400. I do wish Forsberg was back on the top line. He is kind of on an island on the third line over there. But, maybe they mix it up when they get back home. But for me, I think I'm leaning towards more using offense than defense or goalies in this game. I think Yossi would be the defenseman of choice for me. PK Subban definitely in play. Matthias Ekholm, okay, but I'd rather spend the extra 300 for PK. For Calgary, Giordano or Dougie, obviously. If you're using the second line, I think you can use Brody. Sorry, I kind of rushed through that because my voice is kind of like hoarse. So that is the 9-game slate. So I will answer some questions now. I kind of did go through that pretty quickly. So half an hour. That's not bad. Favorite goalie plays tonight. I don't know if you want to use Hutton and Cash. I think I'd rather use him in GPPs. Yeah, I don't know what the other ones are going to be. You have to wait for the beats, but it is a 7 o'clock start. Grice for GPP, yes. I mean, you can use them. It doesn't thrill me. Islanders goalies don't thrill me, but I think you can use them. Yeah, Stahl and Hope probably going to be together. Okay, so goalies for me, I like, if you're spending up, yeah, I'm a big St. Louis guy tonight. I hope Shen and Vladdy are together, but we'll have to wait and see another hour for that. I think my top goalies, if you're going to spend up, are Holtby, Price, and Rene. I think this is a bounce back spot for Bob as well. I'd probably go Holtby over all those. Elliott's interesting to me. Hutton's interesting to me. Grice, okay. I'm not thrilled. Mike Smith, okay. Not thrilled about Mason so much. And if you really want to get funky, Ronta. Goalie's kind of expensive tonight. I do like Vince Dunn tonight, yes. This is the thing, Pittsburgh isn't great defensively. Matt Murray's 8,400. Maybe he's cheaper on FanDuel. If he's cheaper on FanDuel, I think you can use him. I don't want to spend 8,400 on a goalie in Arizona. That's just not something I like to do. Yeah, I agree. 8,500 on FanDuel is more reasonable. I think you can use them in a GPP. I don't want to use Murray and Cash. I'd rather use Holtby for sure. I either, Holtby. Yeah, I mean, Budai's... Okay, if you want to use Budai and FanDuel, okay. But Budai just does not really interest me. He'd be GPP only on FanDuel for me, even at that price. Matt Murray's more of a FanDuel GPP play for me. DK I'd probably fading. It's just too expensive. You saw what happened with Martin Jones yesterday. Not saying that's what's going to happen to Matt Murray, but you're losing all value as soon as he gives up that first goal. All right, guys, so that will wrap up today's 9-game slate. My voice is going quick. I'm sorry. If I didn't get to your question, you can hit me up on Twitter, JRH002DFS. You can get me in the Slack premium chat. Sorry I was late today. I was taking Avery to his mom's. We kind of were talking for a little bit. But, so... hit me up on Twitter if you have some last-minute questions. I'll be easier to type than speak. So good luck tonight, everybody. And I should be back tomorrow. Hopefully we're sweating some NFL. So we'll see you tomorrow. Good luck. Hope you guys win the money. Yell at me if I'm stupid and I made wrong calls. So I like the heat. Good luck, everybody. Yes, I'm going to go learn how to make ice cream and be single. I'm going to do that too. I'm not very good at either. So it might take a while. Good luck, everybody.